All right. I hope everyone is doing okay and had a really nice weekend. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We're trying. I was trying to get this Streamlabs set up, and typically it just syncs right up with the YouTube account. Unfortunately, for some reason, there must have been an update, and I had to log in. And doing that created an error where it wasn't able to connect to the previous scheduled live stream. So it's kind of a glitch, and I had to reinitialize reschedule a new live stream to get it going. It's never happened before. It's I think the first time since I've been streaming since 2022. So I guess in once in 3 years I've ever had that happen. So the people that are have given super chats, don't worry. I have those get saved in my queue. I get to see them all. I can stare at them every day if I want to. And if you ask questions around that in the same line, I get it. Now, if you ask questions outside of the super chat, you're going to have to retype them. Unfortunately, I just don't have. They're just not saved. So you're going to have to retype them. And there's a few of you. I think there's two of you that did that. And I have the one name there, and I when I get to the second name, I think I'll put that in the comments. But for the most part, we'll get through the logistical, snafu, and not really my fault. Just kind of two computer programs that did not connect properly, and we'll just work with it. But I have everyone's super chat. We'll get into it. It looks like I was just checking online. The government shutdown seems to be avoided, and it looked like rescheduled till January. It's been kicked down the road till January. It's what it seemed like. That was the last article I read on it, that there's an agreement. Why do we care? Because the bears need a catalyst to continue the sell-off. So if you lose that catalyst, yeah, 40 days. So it looks like. Oh no, that's that. No, never mind. I'm trying to see if I can find an article that talks about when it ended. When does it and I thought I read something, and again, sometimes these initial posts on X are wrong. I thought I read something about it, just an extension till January, not anything, permanent. And yeah, I don't see those details yet emerging. I must have, but I did read that. So we'll get that confirmed, I'm sure, as the live stream develops. It's kind of irrelevant to our trading system, that news, but it is you do need a bear catalyst to get the sell-off going. If there's no catalyst, there's no sell-off. If there's no catalyst, there's no sell-off. So we need a catalyst, and if that's off the table, then something else will have to emerge. Someone said, well, if the government reopens, well, then all of a sudden we're going to have a bunch of data just dumped on the market, and perhaps that data won't be favorable. Maybe it would show higher inflation or more job loss, which would indicate recession, and that could also create volatility. But we also have this threat of military action out there as a catalyst, and of course, just the markets in general. News. I think Nvidia has earnings. Let me see when their earnings come up. Nvidia's earnings. Let's see here. We'll report earnings on 11/19 Wednesday. Obviously, that's going to be a market moving event, and that can be a catalyst. That can be a catalyst. I have everyone's super chat. Everyone's super chat. The only ones I don't. I mean, everyone's super chat. If you asked, your symbol within the super chat, I have it, and I'll be able to see it. And then, of course, as those were being sent in, I've added those on the list. So I have the running list. So everyone's symbols are captured. It's just the commentary. Sometimes people put commentary, like they'll give a super chat with their symbol, but then they add like 3 or 4 questions afterward. I won't see those questions. I won't see those other questions. I won't see the 4 or 5 or 6 lines of questions that people may have asked tied to a super chat. So you did, that's what may be missing. I believe I have everything except for 2 individuals on here, and the one I found the name, I put it in there in the chat. If you're on, you're gonna have to retype. You had quite a few questions, so you're gonna have to retype those, unfortunately. And I think there's one more. So let's share my screen. Let's share the screen. Market is obviously rallying on the news, and that's fine. Good for the markets. I'm happy they're getting a bounce. Now, can that bounce hold? That's always the question, right? Can the rally hold? And when you look at the overall markets right now, the SPY and the triple Qs did hit a box on Friday, kind of anticipating the intraday reversal, and now the follow through. So this worked out. This was kind of a higher risk, kind of buy area for our basic members, and those who took that, took that leap there, are going to get paid tomorrow. And that's kind of where we are with the short-term cycle. Now, of course, this cycle can fail. It can always fail, and if it does set up potential for a big downside move, perhaps something extremely bearish. So anyway, we're getting these bounces. Good for the market, good for the retail trader, good for anyone who's been long. But this actually has been a pretty brutal sell-off for some people, especially in the growth, overvalued, PE to infinity or no PE, negative PE. Those got annihilated in this sell-off. In this sell-off, though, we saw utilities bid, we saw pharma bid, okay, and that's what we saw. But pretty much everything else got hit to some extent, based on what I could see. All right, let's go to your questions. Let's jump into it. I've got a lot of super chats already. So VTS is the top one here. Chang wants to know about VT's energy. VT's energy. So VT's energy, as you can see here, looks pretty good to me. Got 5 up, a 1-2, 1-2 with a higher high, indicating the trend should continue higher. This is a really good setup, and it is in energy. Energy is the sector of the future. Is the sector of the future, the years to come. Okay, it hasn't really had its super cycle wave 3 yet. That's coming. All these 3s are coming, but right now we have to build up to that. So it is in a box. It did rally from the box, and now it's trying to come out. This bounce obviously reset the cycle. Let's take a look. Let's take a look here at that on the daily. Looking at it, it did bounce. It just hasn't reset. It has not reset. So box is still valid, and we could still be in this Y leg. Okay, it does look pretty impressive, like it would have reset this cycle, but from an RSI perspective, it has not. So if it falls back in, it could still find a low. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I love charts like this. I love charts like this that show 5 waves and a higher high. These are great charts to look at. All right, CoreWeave is another one that you asked, Cheng, here. And a few weeks ago, we updated our chart, really looked at this very carefully, came up with a likely path of it moving lower, which it has done. So it is. We came up with this idea at 142. We're at 104. We should see a relief rally, but that rally is likely to fail. Okay, does it have to fail? It never has to fail. We could always chop back up in the connector, but I don't like to trade it in this area. I'd like to buy it if it can finish just like you see it here. If it morphs into something different, we'll have to wait. But ultimately, I do think it makes another swing higher in the future. What we have is 5 waves off the low, so we should make another swing higher. Now, the problem with 5 swings off the low on the first swing, this is technically the wave from zero existence. The grand super cycle wave is there's never a guarantee that wave 2 will find a low. It can always go out of business and bankrupt. Do we think CoreWeave's going to go out of business and bankrupt? I don't think so. Seems like it's doing okay. It's making some money. But anytime you get on the grand super cycle where you're correcting a stock from the very beginning of its founding on 2, even though you have 5 waves up, you may never get that third wave. And there's many charts where investors were burned on that, hoping for that 3 and never showed up. One that comes to mind is Chesapeake Energy back, I think it was around 2018, that time frame, and it just went bankrupt. And then literally the equity holders went to zero, and literally it relaunched the company, and then after it relaunched, the stock took off. So it's crazy because, they got rid of all that debt, of course, in bankruptcy, and they restructured. But the equity holders got zero. So Chesapeake Energy was on the internet by many Elliott Wave practitioners. Oh, it's almost a low. It's going to be 3. It's going to be 3. And it eventually just went to zero. So they can't go to zero. They can't go to zero. I don't know. I don't think it's going to zero. I think it's going to rally. I see 5 waves. I don't see why I would say it would go to zero. But here it is. This is your buy right there. All right, MBIS. MBIS, we got to look at the big picture. Here you made a new high. You're trending higher. Now you've only moved up in 3 waves. We have seen sometimes the market likes to advance in 3 wave increments, and something like this, and comes back down, and then comes up, and it can just do that. That would, if it's going to follow the 3 wave increment path, this will morph into something very complicated and more bearish. If it's going to do the more conventional path as an impulse, we're going to find a low pretty soon, and it's going to make a 5. And then of course after 5, you know what happens after 5. Boom, wipeout, right? Usually around where the wave 4 low is. So let's say somewhere around here. So this is kind of the path. Now this could be turning into a triangle. We don't have enough data to say it for how this is going to morph. Right? It could easily do this and then be done and go of 5. If it decides to just drop, well, there's your box for your 4. Okay, there's your box for your 4. It's previous peak, kind of a breakout back test type situation, and then you get 5. And of course, if you're super lucky, it extends, and this is a 1-2. And you have a 1-2-1-2, and it goes into 3 of 3, right? So that's kind of the setup. And I have a sense that it's turning into a triangle, but it's not. Way too early to say that. But we'll just leave it the way it is. And that's MBIS. Thanks for the super chat. Okay, Anonymous, let's go into your questions. Could S&P 665 have been the low, or does your data suggest it fallen further? Let's see. That is obviously with today's with the follow through we're likely to get tomorrow. This will be an important pivot for bulls to hold. So could this be the low? Sure. Yes, it can be. And that's why this box we were telling members that this is an opportunity to go long if they wanted to take it. Right? I can't tell you what to buy. That's the other thing, guys. I wish I could tell you what to buy. But then I've crossed the line into being your financial advisor, and then Elliott Wave Sage can go to jail or get sued, and I can't do that. So I can't tell you what to buy. I can just show you a bunch of things and kind of talk about it, and you have to listen closely and carefully to what I'm saying and use the system. But this was an opportunity that obviously if you decided to buy, you're going to be rewarded. And this could be the bottom. And now what is it the bottom of? Well, it would be the bottom of the extension of the 5th wave. And that's what I'm seeing. So if this continues higher, we'll just continue to extend this fifth wave up, and then eventually peak and come crashing down. That's what I think is the most likely path right now. If this rally can continue. Now it's only in 3 waves, so that means it's corrective. So that's a good sign for the continuation. It's not an impulse, which, on Saturday it could have been. We could have morphed into an impulse. This could have failed, and it still may. Hey, it is nice to see this green futures, but something could not happen overnight. If this turns into a 5-wave move and this fails, it's 5 waves down, which means this is going to become an A, B, C, and then I would say that's not the low. So that's why this level has to hold. So either we'll turn into 5 waves and then rally and trap a bunch of people in a sucker's rally and then boom, rug pull, or it will double correct in a WXY, and just crash. And we would likely break 652, which would probably open up the door to 632 or lower. And then obviously 1 is in. The cycle from April is over. So that's why this is such an important level that has to hold. So this is good. This has given us a way to navigate the market now. Here you're kind of flying blind. Now we have something we can, kind of a point that we can use to kind of give us some reference. So that's your answer to your question. And I gave a deeper answer for new people and people that are following me. Okay. Now, your next question, Anonymous. When are wave 4s ever safe to buy, if ever? Or is it 100% always better to only buy a wave 2 pullback before it launches into a wave 3? Okay, so both have their pros and cons. A wave 4 shouldn't be avoided, in my opinion, and this is my opinion. Now, I have followed some professional traders that are good at what they do, and some of them say I will never buy a wave 4. And they do, and I don't buy wave 4s. And it's because, right, they're like, what's the point of getting a 5? And then you have, again, in a wave 5, the 5th wave is usually choppy and erratic, and almost, you're starting to see the distribution patterns. So this 5th wave is not easy money. It takes time, and you're chopping around, and it's just, why bother? This is the moneymaker, right? We want. The problem is I don't agree with that strategy because you miss the extensions in 3. A perfect example is Zcash. Zcash, if you followed the philosophy, I don't buy wave 4s, you would have missed a massive move higher. And I believe some people did that, right? Some people did that. So a good example is Zcash. Let me see if I can draw it here. Here we had these wave 4s, okay? And we had this first A and then B and a flat. So you had two potential lows here. You had another low here and another 4. If you refused to buy it, you didn't get the extension. Look where it went. It went from $165 to $613. You missed all that. Now, this particular example is an extended 5th wave. So you miss, in crypto, you miss the blow off top if you don't buy the wave 4, because usually wave 5s are extended blow off tops in 5. The other is the extension in 3 when it becomes a 1-2, 1-2, and then the market extends. Okay, let me see if I can find an example of that off the top of my head here. Let me think of something that would do that. Let's go to our group here. Maybe we'll check some of these bullish ones here. Yeah, AEM's a perfect one here, I think. Let's go with that one. See if that one would work. Yeah, this will work. Okay. A lot of Elliott wave practitioners probably would have labeled this. Let me see here. 1, 2, and then we would have got up here, right around here, and they would have said 3 and 4, and we're at 5, or we're close to 4, 3 and 4 here, and they would have avoided buying this area, and then they would have missed the extension, right, from 110 to 161. So you missed the extensions. You missed these extensions. Let me see if I can come up with another one. Oh, qubits. That's a good one. I think that's a good one. That's a really good one, actually. Let me see if I can find it. And guys, these are what we track in our elite group. We look at these all the time. Qubits. Qubits is a great one, I think. Okay. Qubits here is another one where it extended. Okay, and we had these buys here, right? If you didn't buy that at 14, you wouldn't have made the money up to 40. And that was a 4 and an extended fifth wave, but within a 3. You see, you got to, so you can't really trade like that. I think you missed some big moves. You kind of really limit your downside, your upside potential if you avoid the wave force, but then you're not able to get the extensions you should want. You want to get as a trader, the 1-2s that extend, that turn into 3-3s. That's why we don't top tick the market. That's why we don't top tick the market. Just trying to find if there's any more examples that I could find here. Oh, this is another one. All right, so Neo's another one. This is actually even better. I could label this as a 1, 2, right? Exactly here, 3, 4, and go, oh, it's going to be 5. And then what does it do? It extends. And it keeps extending again, okay? So it's the same kind of idea, right? These things can just keep extending. And that's why you shouldn't avoid it. Now, the disadvantage of buying the 2s is it takes time. You see, if you were in this 2, you had to be patient. So buying a 2, you have to deal with pops and drops, pops and drops, pops and drops. So you waste a lot of time, and so it tests you tests your conviction and tests you as a trader, your patience as a trader. So buying wave 2s, you have to be patient because that's when smart money buys. That's when it's being accumulated. And that's takes time for that to develop. It takes time for that to develop, okay? So you guys got to understand that. Here's another one, MP. This could have been a 1, 2. Someone could have labeled that as a 3 and a 4 and avoided buying this at 30. Oh, it's a 4. We'll just get 5 and it'll crash. Well, it turned out to extend and essentially go vertical. Our group, we didn't avoid buying it there, right? So that's another one. So yeah, the wave 2s, another one that I like that comes to mind with wave 2s is HP. HP is an energy company that we were looking at. Let me see if I can find it. There. It really tested our conviction. The elite members, look at these wave 2s. You had this big wave, 1 and a crash, 1 and a crash, a flat and a crash. You had to hold from May 25 all the way to August through this wave 2 cluster to get paid. And now you've easily doubled your money and you're up, well, close to doubling it. Not quite. You see, a lot of traders don't have the patience. A lot of amateurs and retail and traders that just want a quick fix. They just want the latest pump. They don't have the patience for the wave 2s. But if you have the patience and you wait, you get paid. And then when these things correct violently, you can just kick back with your feet on the table and you don't have a care in the world because you've taken partial profit and your entry is so low, you're not going to be shaken out by the volatility up here, which allows you to hold even longer. So that's the benefit of the wave 2, is now you have a position that HP may never come back to these lows ever again in the life of the company, for all we know. So you could have a position that you could have for 10, 15 years. That's what buying the wave 2s get you, but it takes time and patience and things like that. The wave 4s, you're playing an extension, which if they happen, it's quick, easy money, and I don't think they should be avoided. So again, I went a little longer just because I want to kind of help educate, kind of share my knowledge with everybody. All right, Anonymous, another one. Prior to purchasing the stock, what indicators suggest a double correction might occur? Okay, so with a double correction, anything is possible with a double correction. Anything can double correct. And what do we look for? The first sign is a cycle failure, a lower low sequence. So let's say MBIS, well, that's probably not a good one because it's so close to the box. Maybe, that's fine. Let me see if I got to find one that I know off the top of my head. Oh, Qubits would be a good one. What if Qubits breaks this low? The minute we break that low and we have a failed cycle, higher failed cycle, the double correction is much more likely. So the minute you have a lower low, no matter what happens, like, and they want to pump it back up, at some point, it usually fails and comes back to earth. Usually, not all the time. But so that's one sign, the low, breaking the low. Breaking the low is always a warning sign. Okay, so we never like to buy those kind of sequences. If there's a low, that a failed cycle, you don't want to buy anymore. You almost want to short it now until you get to the next area. So if Qubits were to break this low, it opens up short opportunity to the next box. Not a long opportunity is now lost. So that's the first sign. Now the other sign of a double correction is if the first leg down extends past the 1618 from its third wave. So it's extended. And I guess I'll try to use this as an example here, and you can see it did not extend. So if this first wave would have went beyond 2240, if this dropped and went to 2240 or beyond, it would have likely rallied and failed. That's the second sign of a potential double correction. And then I guess the other sign is, I guess another sign of a double correction could be, maybe it didn't go deep enough, the opposite. Typically a wave 4 goes to the 618 retrace of that third wave, and typically a 2 wave will retrace 50%. So if the correction on the first leg doesn't go deep enough, doesn't get to the wave 4 cluster, it usually goes to that. Example would be, let's see, maybe, I can't think of one. If we come across one, I'll let you know. But let's say Qubits, let's say it dropped here and it rallied really strong. It probably didn't correct deep enough. So it's probably going to fail and go lower. So those are the 3 warning signs you can look for. The other one is also you don't make 5 waves off the low, the first bounce. You only make 3 waves. And that would be an example like Serve. Serve only was able to get 3 waves, and it needed to make that 5th wave, and it could have from here, but once it failed, now it's a broken chart. So it did not make a 5th wave. That would be a sign that you could double correct off of this major low. Like it could go boom, boom, boom once that happens. Okay? So those are the warning signs. And that's what I'm looking at. Every time I look at the charts and you ask me these questions, I'm looking at that for you. But I'm doing it very quickly because I stare at these all the time. Okay, the next question, 6737 Hive stock. I have the $7 Jan 6 calls. Not sure how I'm feeling. Yeah, the market right now, I tried to draw what I think could happen here. So we only have 3 waves off the low, and we're pushing down in 3. I think Bitcoin's going to hit an area soon and find the low. Again, Bitcoin is the king of crypto. If the king goes down, so does the kingdom. So this will probably go down as Bitcoin finishes lower. It should finish lower. And then if Bitcoin can find the low and rally to new highs, you get 3. And then you get this 4 and 5. And then you get a massive drawdown. So this is going to be very erratic to trade. Timing calls is going to be really complicated. And that's why it's probably trading like this. The market makers don't want your calls to be paid out because too many people are using, it's too hot of a stock right now. It's getting too much attention. And I'm just showing you, because we only have 3 off the low, I have to label it with overlapping waves and 3 waves, just like I have it here. I think it's not done though. this would be unusual because C needs to be in 5 waves, and I can't get 5 waves no matter what I do here. I can't get 5 waves. So I think it's gonna extend, but I don't think it will do that. I think it's got more pain and then extend later. So you'll have to decide. I don't know the timing. Maybe you'll be fortunate, as you said, it's in January. Hey, maybe Santa will come early for you. I can't. I just can't. I just don't know how to answer it. So just take that information I'm showing you, and you'll have to make a decision. I think you have your. Here's your connector, and we want to see a little more downside, and then perhaps a rally with the crypto complex. We also think the dollar index should start to go down around the same time, right? These are not popular forecasts. Dollar index starting to rise a little more and then fall, and crypto falling a little more and then rising. Most people feel dollar index is going to moon and crypto is going to crash to oblivion. Okay, that may come later, but right now I don't think that's the path at the moment. But if the data changes, I'll change. I just don't have the data to change. I don't have the data to forecast it. I always forecast what I see in front of me, not what I think it could potentially be or what I wish it to be. There is a path for Bitcoin to go down to $10,000. I'm not saying there isn't. It's a bearish path. It's one of the, I consider it a perma bear chart, but the chart is a valid chart. But we just need to take it one step at a time. We'll see the failed cycles. I think the next low in Bitcoin around, let's say 88, 85,000. If it gets there and rallies, that's going to be the line in the sand. The bear case will be pretty much, negated or confirmed in that box. So if we bounce and fail in that box, then we're going to turn bearish on crypto. We have to. If we don't, well, then this is the path, and I believe we go higher. Okay, Hive, and then the next one is MPW. From Luke, MPW, we still are in this very bullish setup. What did I say about wave twos? It takes a long time. You got to be really patient. So hopefully we'll get out of this soon. What I am starting to see is the REITs are starting to get, people are starting to get interested in it. We haven't taken out any pivots yet on the bullish side, but I'm seeing activity that's promising. It has to be because rates are being projected to go lower. It's got to be that. And maybe that's what people are getting interested in. All right, the next question comes from Anonymous again. DPRO. Long-term outlooks after they double correct. Well, DPRO, as you know, morphed into a 5-wave move. The problem with DPRO is I was looking at this. Could this be an ABC connector and we can actually crash through the low? I was looking at that, but then when I look at the 4-hour, you see this. We have this divergence here. So that looks impulsive to me. Okay, that looks impulsive to me, and that would tell me that it won't likely do that. It won't likely do that. Okay, and I can't say like 100% certainty. I wish I could, but it's not likely to do that. So that's why I call this more of a major low we can build off of, and we do have 5 waves up. From what I can see, we do have a little bit of divergence at this peak, not a lot, and then of course from this major peak. So we do have a failed cycle. We have to respect that. So looking at it, we have a lot of divergence still. I would expect it to go lower. And then the outlook, the target still remains $20 at some point. Now, what does that mean? Should I just hold out hope? Remember, what's your strategy? Investor or trader? If you're a trader, once you break your pivot, you stop out or you leave the trade and you don't look back. Find something else. You don't hold out hope because it can go lower and this could fail and you can lose everything. If you're an investor or you believe in this company, you're buying here and then you're buying again here. And then if you break this low, then you have to abandon ship. But if just your strategy will determine that. your path. But I can't tell you what to do and how to approach it. I'm just showing you what I think the likely path is. But again, you know, that's why when you do get these reactions, let's say we come down here and you react back up to you should take profit. If you happen to buy this now here and you take because it could fail again and you want something, right? So this is kind of where we're at with it. The middle area too can be really erratic, guys, as you know. It could easily do that and fail, and then of course the target is raised when that happens. But we have the lower low. That's not a good sign. A failed cycle. Serve is the same thing. Serve was a good lesson in money management and execution of the trading system. My system. Now, you may not be your system, but my system. We had to buy here, gave it to elite members, pump. Big gains. I had big gains. Everyone had big gains. Happy, happy, happy. We take partial profit. We always take partial profit. At least I do. So I have something to show for it. And then it started to pull back, and it's like, what's going on? And then right when we got to here, you're like, okay, if we break that low, you're out. We're out of the trade. We took some money here, and then we took the rest of the profit we had here. Still a pretty good profit. Of course, we wish we sold it here, but who knows? We could have extended. Now it's a failed cycle. But if you didn't do that, if you just held, and hopefully you didn't buy more up here, right? If you bought it here and you held, didn't sell anything, and just let it melt down, now you have nothing to show, and you're going to keep losing more. And I told you just a minute ago, this could be on a double correction. Boom, boom, boom. So this is a lesson. If you're jammed up in this trade, it's a lesson in money management and actually executing a trading system. If you execute the trading system properly, you leave with a win and not a loss, no matter what happens by buying this. If you didn't, and you're just, again, I'm not saying you're doing this, but if people leave, if you get a failed cycle and you don't leave, like qubits, if you're in qubits and you fail this cycle and you don't leave and you lose all this money, you're not executing your system. You're not executing as a trader correctly, I think, in my opinion. Unless you have a different strategy, which you could. Maybe you have more of a long-term strategy, which fine, I respect that. I have that on FCX. I'll hold through a failed cycle. I don't care. I know it. I don't think that's going to bank. It's not going to zero. But these kind of stocks, I don't know if I think you're kind of risky. I don't know. I don't think they have any earnings or very little. It has $642,000 of revenue, negative earnings, market cap of $700 million. I think it could be a little overvalued. But hey, we don't worry about the fundamentals. But I'm just saying, it could go lower, and still be healthy in the long term. So just understand that situation. So Serve, for me, that's what Serve looks like right now. Okay, Serve is a failed cycle, but if you execute the trading system, it works okay. So where does it go in the future? It depends on where it rallies. If it goes through the bigger double on 2. Right, of course, it will hopefully rally, but again, we would be correcting the low from 0. So either it will go out of business and fail as a company, or it will find a way to get into wave 3. If it gets into wave 3, we're looking for, probably $50. If it can't do that, then it goes. If it breaks this low and breaks this box, it goes. It could, if it can't rally, it goes to 0. So we don't know. Now, if it rallies from this box, that's when things get really interesting, because we could come out as a leading diagonal. Leading diagonal can have 3 waves, and then you did something like this. Kind of boom, real choppy, right? And then you make this 5, right? And then it comes crashing back down, all the way back down again, and then you come out. So that's also the path. So if we get this path, I would expect you could bounce here and come back up to maybe 23 if you get that path. So that's also another path. Which one? I don't know. You have to buy the box, manage the reaction, just like we did here. Perhaps you react and go. Perhaps it reacts. You get profit. It fails. You stop out. Leave it alone. Throw the chart away. Get this out of your mind, out of your head as a trader. Go trade something else. I mean, that's kind of what I would do with it. I think it's got a great story, a great vision. It's a great dream, but now they got to execute. But if they can execute, they're going to be a stock of the future, builder of the future. If they can't execute profitably, they're going to fail. They're going to fail. All right, Qubits is another one you were asking. We're looking for 5. So again, we just talked about it. It could extend. 5 would get you to $51, 52. I'll draw the box. So this is kind of your target you're looking for. If we can rally tomorrow and get this going, that's your target. Once this 5 is reached, it may never come back. Again, it may never come back. It could just, it may be it. So again, I would not, it's time to not fall in love with this. It's time to think about, you're at the end of the cycle, right? I mean, back here was the time to fall in love with it. Now it's time to part your separate ways soon. Now, if we fail this cycle here, right? If we fail this cycle here, it could still be a 4. I don't particularly like that count. We do have it at highs. It's not below its peak. It's way above its peak. So I think what I would end up doing is having to label this as like 1, 2, and then put in the higher degree 3 here, and then making it 4 or making it another 1, 2, 1, 2. One or the other. But my point is, if it fails, the box would be $17 for a rally, for another trade idea. So this is it. So there you go. So I hope you're hearing what I'm trying to say. And of course, what you're really hoping for is the extension. And the mania continues, which it can. Okay, CMD. You had a few alts. I tried to label this the best I could. Again, we're trading against this low at 28 cents. It looks like it's very close to finishing. If this count holds up, one more low. Right, it already pierced the box. You know, from a count standpoint, I'd like to see one more low. If it can rally any further, then the bottom's in. So it's tough to say. I look at it as maybe one more low, but it looks like it's starting to turn higher. Web Bull also is coming to an area. I think what they're going to do with this, because this was a very pathetic bounce off of this major drop, although it did hit the wave 4, so it did correct deep enough. I wouldn't be surprised for the whipsaw up, and that would happen with a little more downside to 843. This is completely speculative. I can't promise you that this is going to happen. This is just me looking at the chart, breaking it down. I see based on, what I'm looking at, I think this is what I think is going to happen. Okay. So just, you'll have to decide. You'll have to decide how you want to play that. Okay. Very, very risky. Something I personally wouldn't trade. KOS also looks like it had a failed cycle. I'll line that up just perfect. I know that bothers some people out there, that it's not lined up just perfect, and I get that, but we don't make, we're not here to make pretty charts. We're here to look at all the symbols quickly. But there's definitely other people you can follow that do very pretty charts, very beautiful charts actually. It's just I don't have time for that. We don't have time. We go through too many symbols. So maybe we'll put it there. Could it be this? And finished? Maybe. Let's take a look at the shorter time frame. You see that? That shows a 3. You see the bullish divergence. Let's look at the higher cycles. Already looking like it's trying to turn out, turn up, and turn up. It's trying to. It's your call if you want to buy it. I mean, you would totally be bottom fishing it. And maybe there's an extension, a target you can look at. It's a little further down. at 113, but that would require that would turn this into a 1 2 1 2 1 2. So this one's tough. Again, I don't particularly like to trade charts like this, but it does look like it's ready for a counter trend rally soon, and hopefully you're able to catch it. Enphase is another one that I think is going to be a little erratic here. I think we need from this high, let's go back and take a look here if I can draw this. I'll try to draw this. Try to draw this here. All right, so I have this as an ABC for W for X, and then coming down here, let's clean this up a little bit. We're gonna have 5 down, so this is where it gets a little tricky. So we're either gonna finish 5 down, bounce, and go even lower again, because we need Y needs 3. The other path is you don't have this path, and you have A, B, C, which is what we thought originally. We were thinking this was the low, but you had a failed cycle. So if that's the failed cycle, you're going to build out a connector, and it's likely to take another leg lower. So either way, I think it's not something I would particularly want to trade. It's broken. It's a broken chart, maybe a broken company. And whether it's a 4 and we go lower, or it's this and we go lower in 3, I think it does what I have here. Just like this. It essentially comes up, maybe back up to 42, and then fails. And that makes sense because our forecast in energy is for a little rug pull. When the April cycle ends, we still forecast oil to go low 50s into the 40s, and more than likely solar will correct that sector. Think about it. The solar industry is well off its lows. First Solar, many battery storage companies, well off its lows. This is barely, actually it's lower than its low. Why would you ever entertain looking at this? Because once the tan corrects, how can this go? You know what I mean? So this may even be too optimistic what I'm showing here. But I think I'm just giving you what I think into, looking at the chart on its own merit. But if I wanted to play chess with the market, I would actually think it would just go lower. Because the tan is ready to go lower. But maybe this will do something outside in another dimension. And that's the other thing as a trader you have to think about. The market trades in multiple dimensions. It's not just everything goes up and everything goes down. I wish it was that easy. Oh, everything's going up, so that means everything goes up. No, things trade in different dimensions. Some things will go up and other things will fall. Okay, and we see that all the time. Even within the same sector, even one indice will rise and the other won't. Right? When the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, the triple Qs were annihilated. And then they had a pathetic bounce off the lows into 2007. But yet the Dow Jones Industrial Average went to new all-time highs. Those are two major indices doing something completely different. They're trading in a different dimension. That's what I mean by that. If you just thought sell everything when the NASDAQ bubble burst in 2000 and didn't rotate into builders, rotate into value, you didn't make it as a trade. You failed. You can't just, and I think the same type of analog is coming in 25, 26. Same type of analog. I know everyone wants to just sell everything, buy everything. So it would be so easy. I think it's not going to be that easy. I think you're going to see a rotation out of certain type of stocks and then a rotation into others. And a theme will emerge, just like it did at the end of the dot-com era that generated 2002 to 2007, 5 years of trading. This may generate 10 years of trading, a new paradigm, a new way of trading. So just understand the market moves in multiple dimensions. It's not that simple, right? It's not that simple. Just sell everything, buy everything, and we're going to see that I think with one of our questions later. I saw this come up. Okay, let's keep going. with Christopher. MSOS, CGC, and Tilray. Historically, these stocks have been nothing but pump and dump scams. Why would we think this time would be different? Well, we don't look at the fundamental news, so they could be, they may not be. We just look at the charts, so we ignored that. Worried with the market pullback, these could get wrecked. Well, I just told you, you have to think out in multiple dimensions. If the market pulls back, those could go higher. They may go lower. I don't know. We can't. If you think like that, you'll miss the rotation, and you'll potentially miss opportunities. So we trade each chart on its own. Also, UPS, did we miss the bottom? Well, the bottom was never missed. The bottom was always, I was always telling you the bottom. And if people didn't listen, that's not my fault, right? I've been saying, again, this is where if you're looking for the perfect entry, right? $80, $82. As soon as we got this high, and you can go check my videos, I was like, the bottom's in, because the cycle's over. And the bottom's in. Now, this is called waiting for the perfect entry. And then as a trader, you're your own worst enemy. You can't wait for the perfect entry sometimes, especially on a stock that's so oversold, as UPS was. But if you did, you did. It's a lesson learned. Now, great thing is it will pull back, because the first wave off of a major low usually crashes back down. We saw that with HP and many of these others, right? Wave 2. So hopefully you'll get that crash back down and you'll get a chance to get in. And that's fine. Now, Tilray in CGC, going back to that, their charts, you just trade the chart. Okay? 5 waves up, should make another swing higher. It could be right here. It could be right here, right now. But as you know, it could always double correct. And do that. Right? And then go higher. That's why you have to manage the trade accordingly. You have to manage the trade. Perhaps the market pulls back here. Or maybe, again, it trades in a different dimension. It goes to new highs. And then the markets pull back later. And then it comes back down in a flat. So we don't know. So we just can't overthink it. So that's Tilray, and then CGC. Looks like we got a reaction here. I hadn't looked at this. I don't look at everything, but you see that reaction right there. Get rid of that. Let's get rid of these lines. Now you have something to trade off of, 109. So now that you got that reaction, that I more than likely would have corrected that cycle. You see that? So there you go. You got your reaction. So now as a trader, you have a way to navigate the long side of the trade. So now your stop would be at 109. Right, 109. Let's see if we get followed through tomorrow on it. And we can obviously, that's your stop now. Right, because if that breaks, then the C leg is just going to extend even further down. Right? It's going to go even lower. And who wants to be part of that? It ruins the whole setup. And where did it find a turn? Between the 4 and the 2. Basically where I was mentioning it likely would turn. Okay? All right. If you missed UPS, just wait for it to pull back. Just wait for it to pull back. It should pull back. Right? Or if you're a long-term investor, you just start a position here. I mean, look how far off of the highs it is. For crying out loud. I mean, start a position. But it's still got to get through the downtrend line. And we saw Novo was not able to do that and got smashed. So there is no guarantee either, by the way. Like if we get 5 up, yeah, we may get to 3, but it could get smashed back down, and then that's it, And I should probably close that box up a little bit more. Okay, that's UPS. All right, that's UPS, guys. Let's see. Let's go to Cliffs. Cleveland Cliffs. Cleveland Cliffs. Cleveland Cliffs is another one that got smashed on the trend line. And only 3 waves. It looks so good. Why did this happen? Because traders FOMO'd in right here. Instead of buying it back here when I mentioned the correction ended, when we got the higher high at $8. They didn't buy it there, they bought it here. And then, of course, the market maker destroyed them. So now the only path I see that's bullish on this is a leading diagonal path. And it will look something like this. 3 waves, 3 waves. So it's in the box. Will it reverse this week? If the XME can turn and some of these miners can turn, yes. It will rally this week. And we take this high out, we should be good to go. If we can't, and it fails, then it's going to challenge these lows. And it needs to hold them. Now if it can do this leading diagonal path, right, it'll probably break its correction and kind of do something like this, and then come crashing down. So that's probably what we'll see in 3 and 3, 3 waves, and then at some point in the middle of 26 you come out of it. So something like that is what I'm thinking. Mobileye, just short of the box. Looks like it's trying to do a double correction. Maybe back down to 11.28. It really needs to hold this low, right? Or it's just forming some kind of connector, perhaps a triangle, 3, 3, 3, 3. I would just be really careful in it that it's got to hold this low. If it can, it should come out just like I have it. And then Fastly has a lower low in 3. So you have 3 and 3. So this is likely to continue higher. But at some point, and it may go back up to even 26. It could do that. But at some point, it will fail and go lower because of the lower low. This sequence. Now I think it goes higher for now. So I think you could trade it bullish for now, but you need to keep in the back of your mind you can't really fall in love with it, because if you had the breakout and a failed cycle, now they're going to whipsaw the market and trap a bunch of people, and then they're going to smash it down. KVYO. Let's take a look. I didn't do this one. Oh, before I get that, I have to do KVYO, Luke. So KVYO, I'm not sure. Again, looking at something like 1-2, right? And just kind of labeling the obvious. Now, as you see, right, this is very bullish if this is the count, right? Very bullish. Now, the other count that's just as valid is a 3 swing count. A, B, C, W, X, Y. We do have a lower low here. Is that right? I missed that. So I'll have to go back and change that real quick. But basically, you have this X you're in with a lower low. So looking at it, I suspect they'll do this. Something like that. I didn't see that lower low on the first one, so that first scenario is not accurate. I just saw that here. So I think this is what you could see, is something like this. But as we know with C, since it's from 0, it may never happen. Doc N, again, it looks like a lower low. I know it's very common. I'm seeing it because you guys ask so many questions. Anytime you see these failed cycles and you break the low, these charts are called broken. They're broken charts. I know it's hard to walk away from these, and I'm sure there's a lot. They're very tempting. It's like, think of it as fruit that the devil and Satan is tempting you as a trader to buy. It's hanging. You're gonna, at some point, this C will rug pull you. So you just got to understand, these are ticking time bombs that will go off at some point. But again, for now, it's higher. So I do think it goes higher. So that's good. But you do have a ticking time bomb on your hands that you're going to have to deal with. I don't know when it will go off, but it should go off, and then you'll go back to new lows. And then this is going to, follow suit in 3 waves. Let's take a look at the monthly. Yeah, so it's turning into like a WXY here. Boom, boom, boom. So something like this. So something like that. I don't know how high it's going to go, but it can extend. It can even come. It could go really high. We don't know. It's just it's just unfortunate the way when this happens. But I think it goes higher for now. It goes higher for now. I wouldn't be surprised to see it come back up to like 67, 70. All right, the next question. So now I've got Luca's back on, and he put his questions back on. So I'll go through these. I'll try to go through as many as I can just to keep the live stream going. But I requested these 5 symbols, and I got in at ET. So ETCG. ETCG is this is your setup right now in it. 1 2 1 2. So it's got to hold with that reaction at 19%. It's got to hold 758. If it doesn't, I would just walk away from it. It's pretty binary. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. BTBT. Again, this one, it's doing a flat from this peak, so it's extending lower. It's going to have to hold 240. We're looking at something like this, and likely I'm not seeing the 4 and the 5. Probably the 4 right here. Bitcoin's in a 4, I think, right now. Something like that. And again, it's got to hold this low right there. LTCN did come out of its box. It's got to hold 659. If it can, the low is in, and we just go higher. If we can't hold it, the trade's lost. These trades are lost. BTIF, this one, let's take a look at this. Only made 3 up. I'll see how we had a failed cycle in 4. It's probably not a 4 anymore. So looking at this, it looks like 3 up and 3 up. So again, we never got the impulse. No impulse means it's a corrective bounce. There's no guarantee it goes higher. Now, I think it could go higher. Now, on this pullback, you have a lower low. You see that? A failed cycle. So we can project a new area that it could rally from. It may not. And that would be at 197, 128. So if you don't have a position in it, this would kind of be the area you want to look at. And the idea, what you would be hoping for is a bigger 3-wave move. But it doesn't have to do that. It does not have to do that. So now your question related to those stocks, which would be the best of these two? Am I missing one? Oh, NKTX. I don't have that one. NKTX. NKTX. Hit between the 4 and the 2. I mentioned that was possible. It's starting to rally. The chart speaks for itself. So which one's the best one? Well, I think I can't tell you that because then I'm giving you financial advice. So you're going to have to, based on what I said, I think it's pretty obvious. You can probably pick which ones are the best ones. I mean, I can tell you which one I wouldn't buy, right? I mean, just if you listen to what I'm saying, right? BTIF. Yikes. LTCN. That looks okay. ETZG. That looks even better. NKTX. Not a big enough reaction, but it's right there. It could be on the T. So that's part of trading. You'll have to pick them, or maybe you pick all of them and take a small, very small position in each one. But you're gonna have to decide that. I can't tell you. Unfortunately, I can't tell you guys what to buy. I wish I could. I really do. I just can't. I'll get into trouble. In Elite Group, I saw many weekly cycles to the downside. Would buy in here too risky? Well, we don't think in one dimension on our channel as Elite Group. A lot of traders may think that way. Well, if the weekly cycle's going down, everything goes down. We never trade in one dimension. Yes, the weekly cycle's going lower, potentially in the indices. That will bring down a lot of stocks, no question about it. But we still should play the boxes because by definition, when the correction ends in the indices, stocks will have to lead the market out of that correction, and you want to be in those stocks. And the only way to get in those stocks is to buy, and they will turn before the market turns. The leaders of the next bull cycle in the market will turn before the market turns, and we'll see that. Is healthcare one of those? Maybe. Is the utilities? Maybe. I don't know why. Why are those rallying? I don't know why, but they are. Are they going to be our next leaders? Is that going to be the next buzz everyone's talking about? Like, I don't know. Maybe it is. But we trade what we trade each chart on its own, and we can't think of it as like the weekly cycles down, everything goes down. If we trade like that, our system doesn't really isn't effective, and we won't catch the right stocks. But it does tell you caution is warranted, right? Right. It is tell you like, because I'm not going to lie. I mean, if the indices are going down, it is going to be harder on the market, right? It's going to be harder on the market. So you're going to have to. That's why you have to manage that. So maybe you go long volatility, and then you're long some stocks, or you buy some puts on the indices, and you go long some stocks, and you hedge your positions. You know, you have to think of your strategy overall. But obviously, yeah, the weekly cycle turning higher would be perfect, because then you can have a bad buy and be saved by the market, and that's what happens in bull markets. Is people make bad trades and they get saved because the market saves them. But in this type of market, you gotta really manage and do well. Do you use MACD indicator? I don't really use it, but I look at it once in a while, but I don't use it for the system that I use. To use ratio charts, I don't typically use them, but I do like to look at them to understand the full market context and the full market picture. Right, I definitely do look at that. I took small positions in the ones I requested. I was planning to add more. Not sure if it's a good time to wait for the bigger pullback. That's something you'll have to decide based on all the information that I provided and you see, I just can't tell you. And can you review the weekly cycles on the ones I requested? Yeah, I can do that. So let's take a look at these. I mean, that looks pretty good to me. I mean, look at that. It's turning up. Okay. I'm saying, so ETCG, check. How about BTBT? Uh-oh, that doesn't look good. Right? But we have it going lower. LTCN, crossing over, not as strong as ETCG, but it's starting to turn. BTIF. Let's take a look. Ah, yikes. This one looks really ugly. Definitely supports this chart. NKTX. Yeah, that one's a little nervous. Yeah, that one's got some issues. So it is what it is. So it's turning down. Right? But we haven't seen the bounce, right? We haven't really seen the bounce. We're still in the candle. So let me look at this one again a little bit for you, a little closer. Let's take a look at it. The 4-hour cycle's turning higher. The daily cycle's trying to bottom. So maybe the weekly cycle can be saved a little bit and then finish. So maybe what we need to expect, just to manage your expectations, I think I want to update this just a little bit based on just looking at that. Why don't we look at it from this, just there's a possibility for a double correction. Just be careful of that. There's possibility for that type of move. Okay, so just still finding a low somewhere in this area, but something like that. So now if it can rally strong enough from the day, let's see, the 4-hour and daily are turning. So you're getting a bounce. And if it can be strong enough, it can reverse the weekly cycle, but we just don't see that because the bounce hasn't happened, and we know that bounce has not happened. So we don't, I just anticipate the bounce is imminent. All right, I think I've answered all your questions here. add Ethereum to basic. I'll consider it. I'll definitely consider it. Yeah, maybe I did add a couple more symbols to our pro group, and I'm trying to enhance our you know, how can I say it, benefits or you know, our coverage a little bit, and maybe I can do that. But you have to remember too, the basic service $5, so I've got to, you know, I think yeah, maybe I can add something. I'll have to think about it, but I'll think about it. I'll think about it. All right, so then let's keep going. I got through those groups of questions. Next set is from Sumit. All right, SBET. Can you assess the stochastic RSI and the RSI in the weekly, monthly? Capitulate into $3 to $5. Ooh, that's a big capitulation. Let's see where we are with the count. Obviously, definitely pushing lower, right? The box was more relevant to this low, so we don't want to muddy the water there. We're in Y. We have an AB. That may have been the connector. Maybe it's in a, yeah, WXY or something. Let's kind of update this a little bit. Yeah, that's the low. So looking at it, just kind of looking at this right now. Let's go to the 4-hour. Yeah, I don't like this as 3 waves. That's the only thing that's kind of worrisome about this chart. Well, we'll just label what we see in front. I mean, we're gonna have to just label it the way we have the way we see it, and we're gonna call this an ABC, an ABC, and then we get an ABC. So how far down can it go? It may hold this black line, 873. Now you're thinking it goes even lower. I mean, it's possible. Then we would still be in this wave too. And I think again, yeah, you have to time it with other buys. Now the weekly cycle here, oversold, and typically every time you've been in this area, you've seen rallies, so multi-week, month rally, and then the monthly cycle, unfortunately, is kind of not really doing much. You can't really learn a lot from the monthly cycle. The daily cycle is trying to turn higher. You're seeing a forming hidden bullish divergence in the market. You see how the price here has made a lower price, but the indicator has made a higher high, a higher low here to here. It's getting ready to turn. Rally. Now, if that rally fails, then I think your targets are in play. So I think I think you get this low and then rally. So I think you get this Bitcoin crypto low, and then it's going to bounce, and then that's going to be like the do or die point for crypto. This is a do or die point. Okay, next is Dylan. FSDPX, closest mutual fund to the XME. Can I buy it with my 401k? Again, I can't tell you what to buy. I'll just analyze it and you can interpret it. This is a great example of trading in multiple dimensions, and I'll show this earlier. But the chart to me is a very bullish 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, and potentially ready to break out. Now, this we could still be in this wave too. If we are, we could drop back down to 73. There's no guarantee. Now, on the shorter cycle, you just don't have the data to know when are we at a box or not here. This will be a box, 73.50, but it could easily find a low and come out of this. Now, is pretty bullish, right? Why would we want to be so bullish on this? Because the peak of the RSI is back here, right? It's back here. It's not in the middle of the wave. You don't see that. So to me, we still haven't seen the real 3 of 3 yet. What's interesting about this, about trading in multiple dimensions, look at this. Look at this, guys. The dot-com bubble burst somewhere around September, like around here. I think it was March 2000. Around here. Right there. Okay. If you were like, sell everything, the market's done, sell everything, the indices are done, and you didn't buy materials, you missed this move. Look at this. You went from $8 to $34. Did the triple Qs make new highs like that? Hell no. It barely retraced its move off the top of the peak. So this is called trading in multiple dimensions. And I think something like this is about to happen in the market. Traders are going to get messed up. They're going to sell everything, and they're going to miss sectors that are going to do this. They're going to miss it. They're going to miss it. That's what's going to happen. This is a great example. A trader that doesn't trade in a multiple dimension would have missed this whole move in materials. So if that's what's about to happen here, and you're like, oh my God, how can this happen if the markets are going to crash? Well, maybe, just maybe, it's going to do what we saw here. Maybe we're like here or here, somewhere around here right now in this sector. And we have this to come. I think that may be possible. I can't guarantee it. Materials, right? That isn't your fun, sexy names. It isn't your serves. This isn't your, archers. This isn't your RXs, right? This is stuff that nobody really wants to own. And nobody's really buying, except for people that follow me. And they still, even people that follow me don't buy it because they're just not interested in it. But aren't you? I mean, look at those gains, right? I mean, wouldn't you be interested? I would love to make that kind of money. That's what could be coming here. I can't promise you that, but that's what could be coming. So just understand that's the count I have on this. All right, Wendy's. We avoided buying this fallen knife. I think someone, maybe you asked about this. Person who asked me about Wendy's, Luke. But now Wendy's correction looks like it's ended here, right? And it hit the line exactly where we thought it would. Boom. Now it's got to hold. What if it doesn't hold? This bounce likely corrected this whole wave. But let's take a look. No, it actually didn't. It was impressive. It didn't. It wasn't intense enough. So what did it correct? Let's take a look. Just that wave. Okay. So it just corrected this cycle from August. So we would, if this fails, we would have this as a 1, 2, 1, 2. Or no, you know what? I would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would be kind of silly to do it that way. And then we would just label this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we would extend the fifth wave. That's how we would do it. We'd have to do that. The next level would be 662. So I can't guarantee it's over. It didn't bounce enough. So it actually could keep going lower. Fallen knife. There's our A. There's our flat. Usually a flat comes back to the A and even goes below it a little. So maybe it's not done yet. IONQ, like Qubits, could surprise the market with one more high. I cannot guarantee this. The reason I show it is because we have a higher high right here. Right, we had the 3 waves, but once we made that higher high and 5 is done, here it looks like it wants to get going, and then we'll see if it can make another high. But make no mistake, when it's over, I mean it's over. So enjoy it. And this is not something, again, you fall in love with. But it has been fun for traders. We had buys. We fought this thing in here, and then we had the buy right here, and then that's when it went vertical. Okay, next question is let your winners ride, Medtronic. Medtronic looks to me it has a lower low, but it's extending right? The first opportunity for the final push lower was here, and it's going to extend. So I actually think it's probably going to do a big flat. I bet we're going to see something like this emerge. So, and then of course, you know, bull market. So I think right now you should trade it bullish. And if it doesn't flat, hey, great. If it does, you're not surprised, because it does have that lower low. So I think it's going to go higher, right? It's going to extend. SE also showing 5 up, pulling back. Could still be in the pullback. Should extend higher, right? Should extend higher. Net is weird because, and it took me a while. I still not 100% sure on this, but it did get. It's right at the flat area at 263. It literally got rejected there. I think it's a very dangerous setup because you do have a lower low here. This could be this may be what Medtronic does, by the way, and then you get a flat. I'd be very careful in this. I'd be very careful in this on longs right now until you can come back and take this peak out. Viking, I think, is in a triangle right now. I think it's in an A. Let me make this darker. I think it's in a triangle and then it resolves lower. I think it's in a triangle. And it's likely to chop around. You're seeing the RSI contract. That's what I think is going to happen. Now, if we can take out 42 and it gets the triangle, then you'll have a more conventional three-wave rally. Because it's only in 3, I'm showing it corrective, but we could make a lead-in diagonal. It could be a lead-in diagonal. We'll wait and see. I think it would be a huge accomplishment to take this peak out if they can, if the bulls can take that out. That would really change the dynamics of this. All right, this one, Hitachi, pretty much vertical. Let's take a look at the chart. Looking at this, you got some kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 1, 2, and then you're coming out. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. Likely to be, you should be making a 3, 4, and 5 to finish this out. Let's check the RSI out just to make sure. Yep, that's exactly it. So I would be looking for a peak and then a major consolidation, something like that. Let's take a look at the shorter cycles. Take a look. Probably put the peak there because that's only showing 3 waves down. So maybe the 5 isn't finished just yet. Yeah, 5's probably not finished just yet. Probably got another high in there. It's probably got one more high, and then that should do it. And that should do it. Could come all the way back down here. Again, easy money's likely over. Now it can maybe it'll extend. I mean, you can't rule it out. But you saw the peak in the RSI. That peak is where you expected it to be. Calumet. I don't have this labeled, but obviously that's 1, 2, 1, 2. Hit the box, rallied, only 3. It could still double correct and come back down. We need the 5. And more importantly, you want to take out 25, 24. So hopefully in the next next week or so, you can make this 5th wave. And if you make this 5th wave, of course, the pullback is buyable. Right, as it pumps to new highs. All right, thanks for the super chat. So now I can go into any new super chats I got from our live stream today. I'll go back into the comments later. I just want to get to the super chats. MSOS. I think it has one more low. Again, if it's a flat, we should get one more low. If we don't, then the bottom is likely in. and I'll rearrange the count to make it work. So we'll know tomorrow, but I'm still looking for another low on MSOS. Riots in a box. We hope to see Riot start to rally soon in the box. Riot's one, you got to manage that trade. We get a rally in the box. Take your partial profit. Put your stop at the low. If it breaks, you buy it again. Buy two again. We can't rule out the double correction. It's always possible. It did go deep enough, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But it is in the area for reaction. SOLT. SOLT is also not something I particularly recommend trading. I only trade the coin, but if you want to trade this leverage coin, it's been a pretty big mess, as you know. And let's take a look at what we have. Yeah, the C just totally extended on us. Look at that. Like this C, that was an impulse, but it turned into a huge decline. So now we need to trace out a much larger impulse down. All right, no divergence. So it's likely to still have more downside. Right, and we know that's probably right because we have more downside expected in the coin Solana. Maybe something like this. The only way to time it is to time the buy with the coin, and then buy this when the coin's at the buy area. I don't think you're going to be able to find a box in this mess. All right. And then Serve, we looked at Serve already, but Serve has a lower low. And again, this is a great example of managing your trading system and then not being attached to any individual stock. Once this cycle failed, you need to just walk away from it. And the idea was buy the box, take profit, and then put your stop at the swing low, which was here. Then we moved it up, and then you're out. With whatever left, you had profit here, and then, of course, whatever you took up here. And now you could try to buy it again at 841. The problem with buying it now is you're going to be trying to play a lead-in diagonal up to 22. If that doesn't happen, you're going to have a double correction on 2, and then you're going to come back down, right? So this is much more risky area. On NKTX, just again gave that update just a second ago, and I think based on the cycle analysis, I think we could see a double correction potentially. I can't guarantee it. I think this is going to bottom any moment, and it may do a double correction. It may do something like this, but it doesn't have to. I think it's about to have a reversal at any moment. Okay. And then MPW, we talked about that. That's also looks like it's about to turn at any moment out of its correction. If it breaks this low, it will double correct this cycle, likely to come back to the lower lows here. But you can see the count. We've been tracing this out. Probably benefiting from the lower rates. And ALTS is another one, super high risk. And it does look like, to me, possibly one more low. One more low. If it's not, then the bottom's here. The bottom's in, and it's because it's way overdue for a bounce. Way overdue. But it's super high risk, right? Because we've seen time and time again the market can push these things even lower. But to me right now, we're seeing a lot of bullish divergences, I think, on all these time frames. Like here. It's ready. It's like ready to rally. Look at that weekly. Right? It's ready to come. It's ready. So, all right. But again, these are ones that are very speculative, right? They're very speculative. They're not they're not that straightforward, but I do answer your question. Markets being pumped again. Could we have seen the lows last week? When we take a look at the market in our count, right? The SPY, I'm sorry, the Qs is the best example. We are forecasting another all-time high before the major drawdown in the indice level. and this was the area to buy it. And we also had a buy here. We did get the bounce. Now, the SPY, I'm not sure if we can break this high. If we do, we will extend 5 more. The Dow Jones, I'd be very surprised that this can break this high, especially in this count. The Dow Jones just shows something very different. And if you look tonight, 0.23%, 1%, right? I wouldn't be surprised to see this negative and then the triple Q's positive. Imagine that. But if the Dow's negative, it will find its bounce and its foot around this level. So bounces are coming. The problem is what happens after these bounces, right? What's going to happen? If these lows break around the 19th of November-ish or so, we start to turn that week. I mean, all hell can break loose in the market, guys. I'm not lying. I mean, it can be bad. And again, you can't trade one dimension either. You have to like trade each thing on its own, know your levels, get out of the trades, and understand that. Or we don't break these levels and we go higher, which we have been doing since back here, July, right? We've been going higher. So we've had, you know, a lot of opportunities to buy the dip along the way. So we're not shy to buy, right? We didn't want to buy this one, but this was the one, right? So I don't know. All right, Oscar Health. We looked at that already, and I really, it's hard for me to even talk about it because it's just so speculative. Let me see if this is it. Oh, this is a different one. I mixed this up with WebBull. My bad. All right, let's take a look at this. You know, we're gonna need to update this a little bit. Let's take a look at what we got going on. We did take this peak out. Has a lot of looks of Iron's chart before it broke out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4. See, I don't like that. Unless we're a flat off of this peak. This almost looks just like what happened with Iron. I mean, looks almost like what happened. I had the double flat. All right, well, I think this is like literally a fractal that Iron had when it was trading around 15 bucks. So you can decide if you want to take it. I mean, where are we in this flat? Probably a little more downside needs to happen. Let's look at the level. Yeah, so I have it at 15.24. So just keep an eye on this level. I think it's got to go a little bit lower, but it seems like maybe it's onto something. So let's keep an eye on it. Let's keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on that one. All right. Next is Novo. Yeah, Novo was another one that we kind of sidestepped. We just took what we could out of the trade, and then the market obviously smashed it back down. So this was an interesting one, right? We bought this level, got a nice reaction, and then three waves. That was it, right? It was only 3 waves, and then once we had the failed cycle at 54, it was like we have to leave it. We have to leave it. And see, this is why you leave it. Because if you just hold out hope, it just keeps going down. So if it looks like we still are above this low. It looks like you're in the middle of an impulse. I'd be super careful. I don't know why it's broken. Something's off. Somebody knows something and you don't. When I see a chart like this that's not behaving even fundamentally right to me, that means somebody knows something big about this company and you don't know it. We don't know it yet, but it's going to emerge soon. So if we we're going to have to assume this low is going to break at this point. Let's see if this bounce, how intense that bounce was here. All right, didn't break this level, so it's still within that cycle. So it's still within this leg here. So let me losing track of everything here. There. Make sure I orient myself right. Yeah, we'll call it a 4-wave. We'll have to call it this. So this is being generous to call it this. Let's get rid of that. It's confusing. That was well. So this is being generous. So we're calling this a 5th wave to end the correction. It could be a 1-2, 1-2. And it could have a collapse. Doesn't seem likely. So this would be 40-50 would be the next kind of area right in this box. Very strange behavior. It's so oversold. It makes a lot of money. There's your wave 4. Again, you're in your wave 4 cluster zone, but now you're getting a little below. Now you're going to have support turn to resistance. And that here you have no chart support. So this is very dangerous to buy this. This can easily accelerate and just collapse. I don't know. I think somebody knows something we don't know. I'm worried just even showing this, but if I show it as a 1-2, 1-2, well then I'm labeling something that isn't there yet. I would just say if you're going to try to buy this at 40, you're going to have to be really careful. I personally probably I'm not buying it there, even though I think everything about the company's strong. It's just something's wrong with the stock. It's a broken chart. I don't know what's wrong. I guess the news will eventually come out. Something's wrong. All right, HD. I think Home Depot, we called that peak in on 5, 3, and 3. So I have that 5 in as of now. Let's see if it's probably not strong enough yet to look at all that bearish divergence. So yeah, we're in a 5 now. I can't. It could easily extend. I would be careful in it. I mean, I'm just going to label what I see here. Right, and then it could bounce again and then fail one more time. And then I would be more interested in buying it. Right, want to buy it at 244. So let's just see if this plays out. Now if we take this high out, 5 is extending. But I only see 3 here, but it could morph into something. So I still think it's down. Let's look at the higher cycle. The monthly is most important. Yikes. This is not a good sign, right? It's right on the edge, right? It's kind of depending on how you draw it. But it hasn't broken yet. Once you break that line, it's pretty much you're in the correction. Okay. All right. SBET we just covered. I think it's still got more downside, and then it could find the bottom. You could watch it with Ethereum's low and Bitcoin's low. See? Something like that. And then Circle. We haven't looked at that in a while. Circle. Circle. So Circle is a good example of not giving a 5th wave. So we only got the 3rd wave, and then it failed. So we did get a small reaction, not a big one. Kind of a pathetic bounce. And then you have a failed cycle. So let's see if this bounce obviously corrected that leg. So now we're double correcting from the high. So you got a double correction. So we'll just, that box is relative to this. Now we need 3 waves down. It is in an area, 95 to 76 in this area. We want to see divergence erased. Got that on the 4 hour and on the daily. I mean, it could bounce here. Let me draw the box for you. Could bounce. Again, the bounce can fail, right? The bounce can fail. The bounce can fail, but you could bounce here. You'll have to decide if you want to take that or not. But it looks like you see the 4 hours ready to turn higher. The daily's ready to turn higher. How's the weekly look? Way oversold. So probably could get a healthy rally out of this once it gets going. Now we haven't even started it. It could easily still be in C. C can go lower, but again, just kind of looking at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it may go a little lower, just a little bit more. It's too early to tell, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Wendy's, we covered Wendy's already. Looking at the chart, it looks like it's got to go a little lower. I think the 5's going to extend. I think we have a little bit more downside. I see a little more downside in all the food stocks. I think right around here is the right area to think about. It found support, technical support, chart support on that black line. That's why I drew it. I didn't draw it perfectly, but the next area, let me draw this better here. I think I was just trying to draw it through most of the wicks. I think that's why it looks kind of crooked here. Let me try to draw this a little through a majority of the wicks. There, 632. It's definitely not textbook. Like I could draw it horizontal, but then you miss. So I'm just trying to give you like an idea. So now the wave A peak found low at 557. So somewhere in there. And we pretty much nailed this one all the way. All right. And then CLX. We have a box at 58 and we have a lower low. So this is one you can short. So this is a stock you can short. It has a failed cycle on the weekly time frame. So we'll project a box. So any rallies in 3 waves, you can just short at will until you get to this 68 right here. This is the box right here. So it's clearly a failed cycle. It looks like an ABC is forming here. And I won't label that, but you get the idea. That's one. It's correcting the grand super cycle. And we had this all along. That's why I don't show this chart to anyone, because I assumed this was going to fail. And why did we assume that? Because we made the lower low right here. It was doomed. And now it's playing out. Maybe this is like 1, 2, 3. So maybe we'll do something tricky. You may be able to do this. You may get this and this too. Maybe your opportunity to short. You may be able to short this too, right around here, if you get it. All right. Okay. So I think I've got everyone's pretty much questions answered. I will flip through everyone's comments and we'll wrap it up for tonight. Let me just make sure I take a look. Sorry about the mix-up earlier. on our channel. Yeah, I do have a lot of animals at home, and I try to get, calm them down before I do my videos. Sometimes you hear them, but it's life. Do you get mine? I provided them. Yep, I got everybody's. I always get your super chats, and it's just it was just a software glitch, update glitch by Streamlabs. All right, looking at it. All right, I think I covered everyone's comments. Well, I appreciate it. If I somehow missed one, you can call. You can DM me on X, and thanks for tuning in. I hope guys enjoyed it, and if you're interested in becoming a member, try it out. I encourage you to do that. I think you'll enjoy it and learn something from it. And we'll see you next couple weeks. It's going to be interesting. It's going to kind of set the tone for a while, and the rest of at least to the end of the year for trading. It'll be interesting to see if the markets can rally to new highs, or it's going to fail. This cycle's going to fail, and we're going to get some pretty heavy selling. It's going to be very, very interesting next couple weeks for sure.